Hello everyone, welcome back. Tom with Capo Fetish. Today on the channel, we're going to talk about live tracks that eclipse the studio versions. Of course, this is purely subjective. So we're going to start off here with a 1974 classic album here from Bob Marley called Natty Dread. The song we're talking about here is No Woman, No Cry. On the studio version, it's a little more upbeat, a little more lively, but the live version from the live album from 1975 recorded at the Lyceum back in July of 1975 in London, has a version of No Woman, No Cry that has become famous to this day. It is slowed down, has kind of more of a gospel tinge vibe to it, very heartfelt, very just moving altogether, and it goes on for quite a long time on this particular version. I think on the Legend compilation, they kind of edited a little bit, I think when the guitar solo came in, but it's just an amazing track. The live version of No Woman, No Cry. You could even tell that the audience is just completely enthralled and into this particular version. You have now, Peter Tosh is out of the band at this point. You've got the I3s doing backup vocals, one of the I3s being Rita Marley, his wife. Incredible track off the live album from 1975. The track we're talking about is No Woman, No Cry. The Doors album, Morrison Hotel from 1970, of course, the classic track Roadhouse Blues, which starts off Morrison Hotel on side one. The live version, though, from American Prayer. This is the first time I ever heard the live version of this. This has become very popular over the years. It's been featured on compilations. I don't know where this particular live version came from. Obviously, it's 1970. It may even be like a comp of various shows from 1970 that they made into one particular version of Roadhouse Blues, but it starts off side two, and it just kicks ass. It really elevates the studio version by 100%. First of all, it's Morrison's vocals on this are just really to the T, powerful, incredible. The solo by Robbie Krieger in the middle of the track is just really takes off. And then, of course, you have the Morrison banter after the track ends, where he talks about, he's talking about astrology. I don't know if any of you believe in astrology. I'm a Sagittarius, and then he goes, of course, it's a bunch of bullshit, and the audience cracks up. And then he says, I want the whole shithouse to go up in flames. I want to get my kicks before the whole shithouse goes up in flames. Just a fantastic track, very humorous banter with Morrison. Then it goes into Lament right after that. This is a fantastic record. I always loved American Prayer. But I think the live version of Roadhouse Blues really ascends up into the sky, upwards compared to the studio version. Even though I love the studio version, I've always loved this particular live version. And it's on various compilations. There's been so many Doors compilations over the years. But yeah, the live version here, uncut on American Prayer, is amazing. The Velvet Underground, the Loaded album, the classic Sweet Jane, second track on side one, a classic, right? We've heard it many times, and it's a great version, and especially the extended version, which was on the box set, where the Heavenly Wine and Roses verse came in, which, of course, the Cowboy Junkies would employ for their versions years later, and back in 1989 on the Trinity sessions. But anyway, this particular version is great. The studio version on Loaded is great. But I think even the live version from Rock and Roll Animal from 74 from Lou Reed is even better. You got Steve Hunter and Dick Wagner on lead guitars, twin lead guitars, doing this opening passage that is just legendary. It kind of just really opens up the song. And then, of course, Lou Reed strolls out after that whole bit, starts singing in his very nonchalant way. But the song just packs a punch. It just has a lot of wallop to it. And it's been featured, on radio throughout the years. It's been played quite a bit. But I always love this live version. I love this album, too. It's just an incredible mix of musicians he has on this record, along with those great guitarists, Dick Wagner, Steve Hunter. And look at this back cover, too. Lou Reed in total, goth mode right here. Look at that. And the front as well. So yeah, I think the live version of Sweet Jane has always been a favorite of mine. It just really takes it to another level than the studio version. Led Zeppelin 3, the song Celebration Day. I think it's the third track on side one. Great track coming off the song Friends. great little rocker with some great slide in there and everything by Jimmy Page. But how about the live version from Song Remains the Same? Oh my God, this thing takes off like a Learjet, coming right after the opening track, Rock and Roll. And then and Jimmy Page's guitar starting off the track, just really, really heavy, fast. Then it goes into, and of course, John Bonham just kicks it off. Once the drums kick in, it just really, I think this version of Celebration Day is really, really fantastic. Completely transcends the studio version and really has a lot of passion and a lot of power. So that's another one I really dig more than the studio version is Celebration Day off The Song Remains the Same from 1976, the original version off of Zeppelin 3 from 1970. How about Visions of Johanna from Bob Dylan from Blonde on Blonde from 1986? An epic, epic Bob Dylan track. It's track number 3 on side 1. But there's a version, I've mentioned it before in this video, I'll mention it again. There's a live version from the Royal Albert Hall concert from 1966. And he does it with an acoustic only of Visions of Johanna. And it's probably my favorite live Dylan track of all time. It's just him during his acoustic set. Later on, the band would come out and they would do the electric set. But this version of Visions of Johanna from the Royal Albert Hall from 1966 is absolutely perfect. The phrasing Dylan does on this is perfection. Just everything about it, the intimacy about it. You can really hear the lyrics, the way they flow. Everything just flows really, really well. It's just absolutely magnificent, this particular live track of Visions of Johanna. And I don't think the studio version even holds a candle to this version. And it was originally released on the Biograph box set back in 1985. And I loved it from then on. And then a few years back, they released like 30 different concerts from 1966. And this was one of them. And I had to buy this because it had that particular version on it. So yeah, Visions of Johanna live 1966 from the Royal Albert Hall show is one of my favorite Dylan live tracks. And I think it transcends the studio version by a mile. Another track is from XTC's second album. Not a very good album. I think XTC really started becoming who they were from the third album onward, Drums and Wires, once they got Dave Gregory in the band. On the second album, they still had Barry Andrews in the band. This is their second album, Go To. There's a song on here that I never really paid much attention to called Battery Brides until I bought this 1980 Live in Concert BBC. This is XTC doing their Black Sea tour from 1980. This is the last show of this leg of the tour. I think it's from December 22nd, 1980, and they do this really cool version of Battery Brides from the Go To record. I think it's the only song they do from that album on this incredible live album. And it's almost kind of heading into prog rock territory. It has this long intro with these keyboards. I believe Dave Gregory's playing them. And and the tempo's picked up a little bit. I just find it just absolutely awesome, this particular version. And this is from December 22nd, 1980. And if you are an XTC freak and you don't have this album, you should seek it out because it really showcases XTC at their prime before they stopped touring. And just really shows what an amazing tight band they were. Terry Chambers on drums, Dave Gregory on guitar, Colin Moulding on bass, and of course, Andy Partridge on lead vocals and rhythm guitar. But Battery Brides, this version blows away the one on Go To from 1978. Another track that I've mentioned before, I'll mention it again, is from The Who. And from their album Happy Jack, their second album. I think it was called A Quick One in the UK. The last track on the album called A Quick One While He's Away. This particular version you could tell it's a real cut and paste job. It's not very powerful. You can really tell it. The separate parts in the songs are really pasted together for the studio version. And it doesn't really, it never really registered with me until I saw and heard the live version from the Rock and Roll Circus show. In fact, the first time I heard it was on was on the documentary The Kids Are All Right, where they do A Quick One While He's Away. 1968, and supposedly this particular performance by The Who made the Rolling Stones not want to release this for decades because it blew them out of the water, this particular version of A Quick One While He's Away. It's so tight, it's so perfect, it's so magical. Keith Moon's drumming is incredible, Pete Townshend's guitar, and all the parts flow together really, really well. It just absolutely rocks If you've never heard it, check it out. The live version of A Quick One While He's Away from the Rock and Roll Circus. It's also on the soundtrack to The Kids Are All Right, also on the film. And it's also been featured in the extended versions of The Who Live at Leeds as well. But this particular version of A Quick One While He's Away absolutely blows away the studio version by a mile, and to me is the definitive version of this track. Another one is, why not mention Procol Harum? I've been mentioning Procol Harum quite a bit on the channel lately. Their first album has a song called Conquistador, right? Great studio cut, great song, but I think the live version with the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra is the definitive version of Conquistador. It has this mariachi trumpet vibe going on, which adds this whole different vibe to it than the studio version on the first album. And it really packs a wallop. It was a top 5 hit in 1972. And B.J. Wilson's drumming is just off the charts on this. Just a lot of nice hits and nice fills. And of course, Gary Brooker's voice. So I think the version of Conquistador off the live at Edmonton, with the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra is the definitive version of Conquistador from Procol Harum. Another one too, another great track. I've always loved this track. One of my favorite Santana tracks of all time. Soul Sacrifice off their debut album is really special and unique, but I think the live version off Woodstock is even better. If you've seen the film, you know what I mean. I don't know how Carlos Santana played this amazing version, completely blazing on LSD, but supposedly he did. And if you watch it, the whole band is just smoking. There's this fire coming up from that stage. And the live version here from the film is on the soundtrack of Soul Sacrifice, and I think it really elevates the studio version by a mile. And I highly suggest, if you haven't heard the live version of Soul Sacrifice on Woodstock, pull it up on YouTube, check it out, or just watch the whole Woodstock movie. And then last but not least, we have The Kinks, their album Everybody's in Showbiz, the classic song Celluloid Heroes. And an absolutely masterpiece of a song. Love this version. But then there's the live version from One for the Road from 1980 with Dave Davies' guitar intro that is really magical too in its own way. And speaking of the Kinks, let's give a little salute to Ray Davies. Today is his 80th birthday. Ray Davies is turning 80 today. He's a living legend. Ray Davies should be in the, if there was a Mount Rushmore of singer-songwriters, Ray Davies would be one of those, he'd be one of those 4 heads on that mountain. He is that amazing. And if you've never heard this live version of Celluloid Heroes, check it out. It's fantastic. Dave Davies' guitar playing is amazing. I wouldn't say it's better. I'd say it's on the same level as the studio version, but it has magic all of its own. So there you go. Happy birthday, Ray Davies. Happy 80th. Thank you so much for soundtracking my life since the day I was 4 years old, through teenage years, through early 20s, through the 30s, to now. It's been an amazing ride. Here's to another 80, Ray. And that's it for today, folks. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed, just press that subscribe button if you dig the content. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.